products what we can make actually. So there is this Eclairs, then there are Profiteroles, okay. Then there is a very famous wedding cake, French wedding cake called as croquembouche. So you can make a lot of products out of this choux pastry. Plus there is again one more famous thing called as Choux. Okay, so basically you can make something like this out of this choux pastry. Choux pastry is a base for all these products to be made. Okay, so today we are going to make choux pastry, and then we are going to make profiteroles and eclairs out of it. I'll show you how to make. So there is a small history behind how choux pastry is made. Catherine de Medici was supposed to get married to the Duke of Orleans. Okay, when she was to get married, she had bought a court along with her. Now this court also included a lot of chefs, the best of the chefs what she had. So basically the idea was the cuisine to come from here to there, okay, from this part to that part basically. So later, after in around 1540, there was a chef called Chef Pastry, okay, who made this hot dried paste, out of which he made a gâteau. Okay. This, and later after some years, there was this person called a VC who also perfected that recipe and called that recipe as choux buns. Around in 19th century, Chef Anthony, okay, Caramel, he perfected that recipe, perfected it further, okay, to make this choux pastry, which is it is approximate a similar recipe what we are using now also. Ingredients used for making of choux pastry are salt, margarine, refined flour, water, eggs and vanilla essence. Equipment used for your making of choux pastry are induction pan. If you don't have an induction pan, you can also use gas range, okay, a bowl, a container basically which is compatible to your induction pan, a bowl in which you can put the choux pastry for mixing the egg and all. So any bowl will do, not necessarily a glass bowl, a steel bowl also will do. A measuring jug, measuring spoon, wooden spoon, your egg beater, spatula, whisk, brush, duster, piping bag, fat to grease the tray and flour to dust the tray, and a black tray. So first what we are going to do is, I am going to boil the water. It's very important that you have to boil the water. The temperature has to be literally boiling. You cannot put the ingredients inside it before boiling, okay. Once the water is boiled, I am going to put margarine inside it, let it melt, again let it boil a little bit. I am going to put my salt also in that only, okay, but first I'll make sure my water is boiling. Keep your whisk handy because you have to be very fast while mixing it, okay. I can put my salt now because when you see this has started boiling. Then I will put margarine here. See, this is not it's going to be little separate only, okay. Exact mixing is not going to take place, but this is how the recipe is. Just try to mix it. The fat has melted, okay. Can you see the liquid also now is boiling nicely? It's very important that it has to boil. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this off. Okay, and I am going to put flour inside it, because when it is boiling and I start putting flour immediately, there are a lot of chances that it will get over cooked. So just put the flour. All this has to be done very quickly. See, the dough is formed. It has separated the base. Okay, I'm going to cook this a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. Don't cook this too much, because if you cook this too much, what is going to happen is this is going to become liquidy. Okay, we don't want it to become liquidy. We want this to form a dough like this. Okay, now this is done. See, how do you come to know whether it is done or not? This will leave the base, which means it is done. Okay, now this I am going to place on the table here. Okay, so that I basically let it cool. That is what the whole idea is. And once it is cool, then after that I am going to put my eggs inside it. It's very important that you cool the dough, because if you don't cool the dough, your choux pastry will not come out right. Okay, so just spread this out and let it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to grease this tray, because I'm going to pipe my choux pastry on top of this. Okay, so this is my pat. So this is something which is very commonly used type way of baking the pastry. But if in case you don't want to do this, then what you can do is you can use silicone sheets also. Silicone silpats are available in the market nowadays. Hotels and all also, they mostly use those silpats only. They're very easily available and they don't stick to the base. Okay, but again, silpats are pretty costly, so that's the reason you can do something like this. So just dust the flour. Okay. So now, can you see this? This is, check whether it has cooled down or not. Once this is cooled down, just take this, put it in the bowl. Okay, any bowl, glass, steel, anything will do. Glass we're using so that it's visible for you, basically. That's what the idea is. Then take eggs. 2 eggs will require. And I am going to put vanilla essence. Okay, and then vanilla essence is around 1/4 teaspoon. Okay, and then just beat the eggs. Keep beating this nicely. Okay. Then just put the egg. Put egg slowly. Don't put all the egg together. This is a little tedious part, it doesn't get mixed quickly, okay? That's the reason we put the egg also slowly. We don't put the egg together, because if you put the egg together, there are a lot of chances it will take too much time to mix. It becomes more difficult to mix. Okay. Putting a duster underneath so that it get a grip, and this is mixed. Okay, this is done. Check there are no lumps inside it, very important. Okay, there are no lumps, and see it is not too tight, because if it is too tight you can put a little more egg also. Okay, and if it is too liquidy, see basically you should be able to pipe it. That is what the whole idea is. If you are able to pipe it, then it's okay. Okay, so this is done. I'm just removing everything from the just remove everything. Okay, then what you do is, your tray you have kept ready, your piping bag is there, okay, along with a Savoy nozzle, along with the see the nozzle is here, okay, Savoy nozzle. First I am going to take this mixture and put it here. Now, as I had told you before also, there are the two shapes what I am going to teach you today. One is your eclair and another is your profiterole. For eclair, what you do is, just hold this. This is your eclair, okay? piping it evenly is very important. The stable hand has to be there, you know. You cannot go very fast. You have to make sure that you're piping, fast. You're not fast. The gap between the two, you know, your piping bag and the base has to be there, you know, even has to be there. So for example, if I'm putting it too down, it is going to become very flat. I'm putting it too much on top, it is going to become very thin. So just make sure even gapping is there. Okay, these are your eclairs. Then this is called as profiteroles. Profiteroles are the ones which are used for French wedding cake known as croquembouche. Okay. Okay. Now once this is done, you can see this points, right? This points has to be just like this. No, otherwise it will come. The baking also it will come like that. Now, if you've gone outside, you have seen outside there is something which is on top of this. It looks like a crack. Okay, that is called as a crackle. Okay, which is a completely different recipe that we cut those and then you place it on top of it and then it goes for baking. That's the reason those cracks are seen on it. Okay, now because this is a very that is mostly done in your advanced this thing. Okay, now this is we are just first year. Okay, so I'm just teaching you the basics, but this is something like that also can be done, and it will be really beautiful on your on the this thing, profiteroles and your eclairs. We are going to put this for baking. Okay, for baking it is going to go on 200 degrees Celsius. Okay, for some time, like around 10 to 15 minutes it is going to go for baking. Then we will remove it outside. What happens in this whole process is steam is generated, because of which a gap is created in between. Now when you just bake it for on 200 degrees Celsius, that gap which is there inside in between, that gap doesn't get baked. So that's the reason what we do is we put it inside in the oven again on 180 at lower temperature, and we dry it out from inside. Okay, now normally all your cakes and all in that the raising agent is basically your baking powder or baking soda or baking powder, but here the raising agent is your steam. Okay, so the steam is created here, and because of that you get this nice fluffy, and it becomes almost double or triple in size. It becomes nice and huge. We'll see that after baking only we have a look at it. Okay, so guys, now we are going to start making the custard. Okay, this custard we are going to put inside in the Danish pastry as a filling. Okay, and we can use other fillings like a strawberry and blueberry and cherry, all these different like etc. different fillings also inside it on top of the custard basically. So before that we have to make the custard. We have to make sure that this cools down. Okay, now I have started heating up the milk here. Make sure your milk is like heated up really nice. Okay, it has to be like properly boiling. Then you put your sugar here. Okay guys, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to put little milk here
in the custard, because I can't put directly the custard powder inside over there, because what is going to happen is the custard is going to form lumps, and I don't want lumps to be formed over there. So I'm going to take a little amount of cold water and cold milk, and I'm going to make sure first the custard is dissolved like this here. Okay. Can you see? I have made sure that the powder is mixed properly here. Now here also you can see your milk is boiling. I will switch this off first, okay, and I will put my custard slowly inside it. The moment you start putting your custard inside it, this, can you see this? You have to see, can you see this? This is nicely cooked. Now just start your gas a little bit and cook this for some time. Okay. Now why did I switch off the gases? Because I have to make sure that this doesn't get cooked, too much, because there are a lot of chances that this will get, it gets stuck to the base and it gets overcooked and lumps will form. So you have to be very careful, keep mixing this properly. Then just take, can you see this? It's almost done. And then just take this butter and we put butter inside. And because your this thing is hot, your custard is hot, your butter will automatically get melted inside. This you have to keep for some time. Now what you have to do is, I am going to put a cling film on this, okay, because I don't want a layer to be formed on my custard. Okay. So if you don't have a cling film at home, what you can do is just take this duster, wet it up and just put it on top of this, okay, so that it does otherwise a thick layer will form, which you don't want. And just cover this like this, okay. Okay, like this you make sure you cover it from all the sides. Understood? So that the film is not. So now you can see these are the choux pastry, these are the eclairs, and these are the profiteroles, which after baking they look like this. Okay, now can you see they look like this. Now what I am going to do is, I am going to cut them in between like this. Okay, just be careful while cutting. It shouldn't be see, and you see this is quite hollow and this is not very sticky. This has died out now. Okay, so like this I am going to cut all of them. Like this. The same way goes with your profiteroles also. Like this you cut them. There is one way where you just take a piping bag and you put it inside. That also you can do, okay? Or you can cut it like this. So it all depends on what you want to do with the profiteroles, okay? So first, now this is the custard we made. What we're going to do is, and this is the whipped cream. So first make sure there are no lumps here. It's very important to check whether there are lumps or not, okay? Because otherwise they would be seen later, which we don't want to be seen. And then this is my whipped cream. Just take a little bit of this and I'm going to mix this. Be careful, because if you over mix this, your whipped cream is going to become flat. So don't over mix it, but you have to make sure that you're mixing everything properly. Keep mixing this on place nicely. Okay, can you see this? So this is done. Now what you do is, I'm going to, this is my piping bag, this is my savoy nozzle again. Okay, if you want, you can use the star nozzle also. It all depends on you what you want to do. Okay, just take this and put it there. This is the base. Make sure the cap and the base are together. Okay, and this is my profiteroles. After this, what you do is just take this and put on top of this. And take this and put on top of this. Now, can you see this? Okay, this looks really beautiful. Okay, looks really beautiful. Okay, so if you take a star nozzle, it will look more beautiful. Okay, now for now I have finished only this. You can finish the other ones also. So now I have filled up this piping bag with the chocolate ganache. Okay, and I have cut it over here. So there are 2-3 ways of doing the garnish. Either you can take this whole thing and you can dip it inside, or you can just take a piping bag and finish it like this. See? Something like this you can do. Okay, now here I am doing only dark. You can also do white if you want to. One more thing you can do is, just one sec. So now one more way is, like I was telling you, is you can take this top part, okay, and just dip this. Okay, now don't take too much of, here I have chose to only dip half of it. So it all depends on you. If you want to dip half, you want to dip full, you want to dip half white, half dark, you want to pipe half white, half dark. So it all depends on what exactly you want to do. So basically, and you can do different colors also over here. So there are colored chocolate also, like pink chocolate is there. So you can do a colored this thing also. Then you can put like nice sprinklers on top of it, which are available in the market. So you can do different designs over here. So there is no hard and fast rule that only you have to do this. Okay.